Good afternoon, everyone. We are very honored to welcome two of our distinguished guests who are here with us to share about how ChatGPT and DeepSeek has evolved. We will be talking in depth about how they started and how the future looks for both of them. I would like to welcome our first panelist here, Mr. Kunal Das, sir. Welcome, sir. And Mr. Kashinath, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir. So before we would like to jump into the topic, can you just give us a deep brief about what ChatGPT is and what DeepSeek is? A little bit about the LLMs, just an overview of it, sir.
Hello. Okay. So at its core, LLM is a large language model, and it is called large mainly because it has been trained on a large data sets. Dataset basically at its core consists of internet archives, all the databases, all the PDFs that are already available on the internet. And what LLM does is it predicts the next word or what you're going to type. It just predicts the next step. And how it learns? It learns by reading a lot of data. That's I think the simplest form I can explain LLM. That's how I would explain.
Okay, so DeepSeek basically they are the concentrating on DeepSeek and ChatGPT both have some certain area expertise. For example, like a DeepSeek, so they are majorly for mathematical problem solving and some research based if someone working on and in a ChatGPT we will get academic plus enterprise both because ChatGPT they are started since long back and they are trained the models very heavily and DeepSeek they recently launched and entered in the industry and they need some more time to train the model. And right now at present they train the model for a particular the geographical location basically China. They are covering right now China, and very soon they are entered, but there are still a lot of improvement required in a DeepSeek point of view.
It is to be, I think, a lot of the DeepSeek content, there was a rivalry going on.
Yeah.
When we were asking if some part of India was part of India, it was saying it was part of China.
Yeah.
So that was still there.
Yes, right. That is still in a improvement stage.
So how would you describe the whole evolution of ChatGPT from how it started to where exactly it is now?
So when the started ChatGPT started, they are started with some certain data, whatever they had, and then after that they are interacting with the industry and various countries to share some certain level of data. Without data they cannot train and set up entire ecosystem basically. So maybe you heard a lot of people earlier industry wise enterprise level people had a lot of questions. If we are sharing, so where is the security basically? So in that case, so organization level they are adopting themselves and they are through internally they are using some APIs, and in that scenario they are sharing the data and then internally they are using, but publicly no one ready to share some R&D kind of data for a publicly because there are some threads someone using the some product idea so there are some lack basically.
So question was, how was the journey of ChatGPT?
Yes.
So I started using in 2022. Basically that time it was text input, text output. Since then I think 3.5 turbo came. It is same thing but much more faster. Then we had the multimodal, which can understand not only text but images, and it can text to speech was also integrated I think by that time. And now it's in a point when you get you get like multimodal at its peak. It can understand image, generate images, and when something can generate image, something can generate sound. That can also generate video. So video is essentially image plus audio, right? So all the things it is going pretty fast. So multimodality, I think, is the new norm. Earlier, when we started working 2 years back, it was just plain text. So that's the journey I've seen. And next thing that recently came is the model context protocol. So that will enhance this LLM to interact with more context and not only read and output in text, video, image, and audio, but it can also interact with multiple APIs. It can interact with files, etc., etc. So that's where it is currently heading right now.
It is definitely fascinating, sir, to see how LLM, which was basically trying to predict the next word, has come to make Ghibli images, which
Yeah.
is currently
Yeah.
correct. So, coming to DeepSeek, what exactly would have been inspired the development of DeepSeek? Because how is it vision differing from OpenAI?
Okay. So basically, if you see, I think is innovations comes from whatever the resource you have, right? So it's a very innovative thing that OpenAI developed, but they had a lot of resources. They have the GPUs and all, which DeepSeek team member did not have. So they have to innovate a lot of things. So start from scratch. If you think, a lot of us when we start developing or training any model, we start by using PyTorch or CUDA drivers at it. I haven't seen anyone, but if you read the DeepSeek paper, they did not use the CUDA drivers also. They have written code in assembly to use the full potential of the GPUs rather than using NVIDIA GPU they are using, but not using CUDA drivers. So which is going at its core. So there they innovated a lot. And on top of that, if you see how ChatGPT works, even though it's not very clear, they have something called reinforcement learning with human feedback. So the model learns itself again and again, but there is a human feedback involved, which gives a score or maybe gives a yes or no, true, false, boolean value, whatnot. But that is costly. Anytime you involve human, there is a error occurrence can increase, and that is costly. DeepSeek also reduced that quite a bit. So rather than using that, they have created a policy where there's another model which is giving the output score. That way they have reduced the human intervention a lot. Not only that, there are two parts of a model training. First is pre-training and then post-training. In the post-training part also, if you see, I'd say all the sources that I am quoting are basically from the paper they published. But yeah, in the post-training also, if another model is judging the output of another model, then you have to actually pay for the two of the models. The second model who is acting as a judge. Now, it will either show you whether it is good or bad, a Boolean value. But in case of DeepSeek, it just predicts rather than definitely telling whether it's correct or wrong. It predicts and it provides a core, which may not be accurate, but is hell lot of cheaper. So there they have reduced costs on that level itself, and there are a lot of minute innovation they have done, and sooner or later, I think other Anthropic or ChatGPT might also adopt these things. And anyway, this labor in particular that geographic region is very cheaper. So data gathering also was easier. So even when they have developed the first model, I think DeepSeek V3, then from there it came, reasoning model came DeepSeek R10. R10 was able to crush benchmarks, but it was whatever it was throwing output, right? It does not make any sense. Maybe multi-language model, something. Then again, they have fine-tuned it at the last stage with a small section of data set. Then the R1 came. And when it came, the thought process we saw first time, how a model thinks, it was really shocking. And on top of that, they have made everything open source. So even the distill version you can run on a single laptop. That is quite fascinating, right? Earlier it was not possible. No one thought of like someone could do that. Llama was there, but the reasoning model, you can see in your terminal it is running locally using your GPU and thinking, and then throwing an output. So that's the core difference in it. ChatGPT has also developed the RLHF and all, but I feel like personally, DeepSeek's approach from start was to efficiently manage all the resources as much as possible, squeeze out as much as energy is possible from the GPU and give you a good results. So there actually it shines. And anyway, ChatGPT is like a standard nowadays if you want to have a general standard. One more thing, just small thing I'd like to add. If you see, DeepSeek is much better in computational programming kind of question rather than general open-ended question. That is because model which was evaluating DeepSeek, if you see, computers are generally much more, it is easier for computers to detect whether a program is correct or wrong than a theoretical subjective open-ended question. So because ChatGPT is made with a human feedback loop, it can answer open-ended question much better because humans are more capable of handling an open-ended question, non-technical question, etc., etc. So there's a two different approaches they have taken, and that's why we have. But the openness of DeepSeek is really fascinating, and let's see if other companies also adapt to that. Then it would be beneficial for all. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what he said, so I'm agree with that. Okay, so as a open source wise also, okay. So even I think some of the company, I'm not exactly remember, they said we are adopted the DeepSeek. Okay, because they have kept open source. Okay, based on our requirement. Okay, enterprise level I'm talking. Okay, the adopt and train the model and give it to the team members to utilize that. Okay, so another thing is like as they saying like our hardware is more cheaper than the open AI. Okay, maybe you heard when they entered and announced we are now entering in, so totally this market was totally in trouble actually.
Yes.
Correct. So that is they are, see, China's monopoly. Okay, we are selling you in a very cheap. Okay, but sometime like the US based company, they are not ready. Okay, so that is the competition will happen actually, and everyone going to adopt if they say okay everything is free one, okay, less cost, even I am also going to adopt that. Okay, but I will see the what are the capability of that. Definitely they are competing because they have capability. Okay, and as I already mentioned, they have particular area and they are concentrating. Okay, but in chat gpt open ai, they are concentrating on various sectors basically. Okay, everything you will get. Okay, so yes, so my as a open source user, so definitely I will go which are the give more beneficial for me. Okay, and which is a more cost effective basically. Okay, even though if that is open source or not.
So a follow-up question on the open source itself. There has been a lot of talk about how AI should be open source, right? But there's a big distinction. I think all the Chinese companies that are coming, Quen, DeepSeek, they are all open source, but most of the US companies are not. Do you think that going forward, the open source is very important for AI adoption by everyone? Because I think very recently, 2 or 3 days ago, Google announced that Gemini 2.5 is going to be open source.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we are seeing that shift with I won't give my code to okay, this is open source. So how do you think it will create an impact in the developer community and for students?
So one is like if there is no any open source, okay, community or repository, very difficult to work. Basically, as per my point of view. Okay, so the community, they already developed some certain level. Okay, and they stopped and they publicly the push all the code in public domain. Okay, so for example, I am a user, I adopted that. Okay, and then based on my business requirement, okay, and what kind of data I have, okay, so I will integrate with that actually. Okay, sometime definitely, for example, I was a part of Aadhaar. Okay, so I'm not going to publicly share entire data. Okay, I will adopt and integrate, so my internal user can utilize for a better understanding, doing some the research and development for a future point of view. If I'll say no, I can't do any open source for anyone usage, then I think there is no use of that actually. Okay, for example, a Python, take a Python. Nowadays, everyone using a Python because that is a good community, lot of improvement, and open source like that.
Yeah, so there are two ways, like as Kashinath was saying, to grow it much faster rate, you need community involvement. Any product, if you see Linux itself, it became so popular right now. I think 90%, I think the number servers are running on Linux.
Yeah.
So because it was community driven, so any independent security audit can check it out and everything. But as Google recently open sourced the Gemini 2.0 and even DeepSeek, Quen, all the models, Quen Coder Special model is very good. All the models are open sourced. So if you see that we are discussing about the filtration, right? It was not recognizing Taiwan as a country and whatnot. But if you search for the same thing from Perplexity selecting DeepSeek model, it will like answer as expected. So the model itself is not at a problem. The filtration that you get from the chat interface cause the issue. So I think once you go open source, there are many benefits. One is faster development, independent audits from security, and third is if you want to work with your internal data that you don't want to share, like suppose Aadhaar you was mentioning, etc. You need to run some analytics and all. You can easily host that into H100 DeepSeek, a large model, and then run it locally and then pass your data, and it is end of the day. So that way, I think open source is the way to go. But the trend I'm seeing, like companies are older models they're releasing. Let's see how fast they can release their recent models as fast as it's possible. Then it will be a much better place.